Okay, so why don't we start real quick with some introductions. Ian Featherstone, I know you're a compatriot of Forrest's. Would you like to introduce yourself and what you're going to do with the group?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I've been working under Forrest for a year and a half at SAIC. Background from Virginia Tech in material science engineering, and then uh, got a message from Forrest saying, "Hey, this is pretty cool," and I understand. I think it was my, I guess, engineering knowledge and kind of common sense and problem solving where he said, you know, ontologies, knowledge engineering, applying data to, real world first order logic, maybe he'll get it pretty quickly. So I essentially have been an understudy to Forrest, and another one of our um, colleagues who has a PhD in ontology work, and I've been working with self-study resources, learning up on ontologies, first order logic, semantic web technologies, and I've been working in ontologies and behind the cyber division under Forrest for a year and a half now, like I said. So happy to help out in any way I can. Sounds like a very interesting topic, the Open Cyber Alliance.
In fact, until this point, he's done like zero with cybersecurity stuff.
Yeah, which is funny because I am technically under cyber Forrest.
Yeah, but it's been systems
Right?
engineering and other projects. So this is his first exposure into that, actually.
Well, excellent, Ian. We as well have been understudies of Forrest. He's been teaching us some time. So we can relate to what you're talking about.
Awesome.
Okay, thanks for that introduction, Ian. And then also I'd like to introduce Brian to the group. Brian, you want to give us a little background of why?
Sure. My name is Brian Salk. I'm from the National Security Agency. I work mostly enterprise architecture, and I do a bunch of, let's say, cybersecurity projects. Over the years, my primary cyber focus has been supporting various DoD architecture efforts, in particular leading up the development of an enterprise security architecture referred to as the cybersecurity reference architecture. And that defined basic security standards for big enterprise perimeters, data centers, computing nodes that would be deployed at bases all over the world, as well as trying to regionalize security capabilities and introduce new concepts of technology like cloud and how that impacts DoD, as well as the use of big data. So more or less, I'm a jack of a whole bunch of trades and kind of the guy who gets on the soapbox to talk about security to a bunch of folks, some who get it, some who don't, but it's been rather interesting journey across the department and some of the efforts that I've had, and now we're starting to see the emergence of even newer concepts such as zero trust, and I think that that's one area of interest with this group. But aside from that, I can probably rant about a whole bunch of different cybery things, but my objective is to start learning about what you guys are doing. I've been introduced to this group by Michael Herring, who has been a big lead developer with the Applied Physics Lab doing integrated adaptive cyber defense. And so as he starts to transition into a retirement phase of life and whatever he's going to do after his position with the agency, he's looking for some folks to kind of get involved with a few of the right places to see, what it is that can be accomplished in some external partnerships. And so here I am. Like I said, my objective for the near term is to learn about what you guys are doing, what you're involved with, and I'm sure being an architect and person who knows a little bit about security, I'll find some cool stuff to do with you guys.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Brian. And I did mention to Brian, we did, Forrest, you introduced the topic of the framework and the document the DoD put out. So I did point him to our recording from that meeting as well as some of the notes. But Brian, I'll be picking on you to help me, look at our architectures and kind of align that with the zero trust framework that they're talking about and help us understand how to, what should we do about it and how should we adapt with it.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, Forrest, you want to share us a little bit about what you talked with the MITRE group about?
Yeah, so real quick, it was a preliminary, bottom line is a preliminary meeting. Trying to get the right folks at MITRE into a meeting with OCA, like at the PGB level or such, to start sharing our initiatives and talk about where we can either collaborate or deconflict, or they might point to us, you know, what their agenda is and where we might be able to be complementary with that. So I just met with the leads for the MITRE attack framework. I'm assuming everybody on the call is familiar with the MITRE attack framework. You may be less familiar though with the, what am I, screen one or screen two? Hold on. With the defend model. Is this, no, hold on a second. Block allow. See if I can do this without taking forever. I thought I had WebEx set up to see allow. All right, I'm sharing my screen. This right here is the MITRE Defend knowledge graph of cybersecurity countermeasures. And so I talked a little bit with the creator of this and with the MITRE, like I said, the attack matrix folks. And just to give them a little background on what we're doing at OCA, they had lots of questions to try to understand where we fit in the universe, and tell them the intent of a meeting between our organizations. And so they're going to take for action to go back and socialize with the greater cybersecurity community at MITRE, because it's a big community. They have a lot of cybersecurity SMEs there working different projects. Anybody who might be interested in standards development, doing things like you see here on the screen, or working with that type of those initiatives, who would be interested to hear what we're doing. So he's going to go back and rally the troops, and then we're looking at setting something up for somewhere in September, the 12th to the 14th, I think it is. Is that a Monday through a Wednesday? Look at a calendar quick. See, July, August, September. Yeah, no, 13th through 15th, somewhere in there, to have a meeting between our two organizations. So I'll bring this up at the PGB. And I think, so this is one of two meetings that we probably need to have, I would recommend, one being with MITRE and the other one being with DHS, with CISA, because I think that they are not quite tuned into everything that we're doing as well. And I think we would benefit from an information exchange. I've not made as much progress on the CISA side. I've been working with Johns Hopkins, with Harley Parks there. But Brian, you're an NSA type of guy. Have you been working in any working groups on the standards measures and stuff like that over at DHS?
No. Unfortunately, most of the stuff that I've been doing the last several years has been more intelligence focused, as opposed to some of the DoD stuff that I had done in the past.
Okay.
So I'm slightly disconnected. However, I worked on DODCAR with a gentleman by the name of Pete Dinsmore, who I believe is still down at DHS, who might be able to open up a few doors if we need to.
Okay. Well, and we had one gentleman, Gonzalez, I think. I'll have to find his name, but who was working on the NEAM cyber domain working group. But I was told he's not the major person for us to talk to. So we've been kind of in limbo getting that set up. So maybe if you do have some context, right people to talk, we certainly like to take advantage of it. That was it. Any questions from that interaction? Like I said, I'll bring it up again at the PGB, and then we'll schedule something to that middle of September with the larger group at MITRE, where we could provide them an overview. So it'd be helpful to have someone who's cognizant in our different projects, attending that meeting, so they could provide more details than I was able to provide in my short meeting.
Yeah, I'd be interested in knowing those boxes you had, what's underneath those things, because there's a couple in there, like, we're doing the malware use case, that they've got things like file analysis in there, file detection. So I'm wondering, there seems to be some relation we can have here between what they're doing and what we're doing.
It is. And so it's related to the ontology, but it's not, admittedly so, not a fully fleshed out thing yet. So they didn't link it from BFO or something like that. So it'd be fully interoperable. It's still kind of standalone. So,
Okay.
but it's still things that we can pull from. So
Yeah, I think
Okay.
there's great alignment. I'm curious, Forrest, what was their initial reaction, when you describe what we're trying to undertake?
yeah, I told them about that a little bit, and they were, they thought it was a good idea, I guess. No, they didn't say that's a bad idea. I didn't actually go into any details and show them anything because I didn't really have anything to show them. But I just told them we're working on one, and I just said we would try to reuse as much as possible the tools and the models that have already been promulgated like this. So I mentioned also that the MITRE attack framework is, I think I can, yeah, and this is also linked to the MITRE attack framework, which is helpful, but in and of itself is also not quietly, MITRE attack framework is not what I would consider a fully fleshed out knowledge model either, because it's not, a lot of stuff gets conflated because they only do it they only use that matrix table. And so they're literally constrained by their presentation methodology. It's just a table. And so they had to group things in groupings that weren't all quite logical just because they didn't have any better way to group it. So if you release that constraint and you take the ontological approach, you can make a much more logical and understandable model for the machine to understand too. So that's things we can do but again, Kubrick has already done a breakdown of the MITRE attack framework. So whatever's in there, we can pull from Kubrick's ontology model to help us as well.
Yeah, that's great.
And those are all on the attack piece. And so since we focus mainly on the cybersecurity processes that a defender would use, that actually is a little bit closer to this than MITRE attack for now. So this is another source that we can use. And this is actually, they have, so they have it in CSV, they have it in Turtle. So I can literally take this. So here it is right here. Oh, darn it. It's literally the file, never mind. So we can take it and we can download this verbatim and load it up in our tools and see it immediately. It's just not organized. And they've admitted this, there's no top level ontology to help with the interoperability on this. It's kind of jumbled for now, but we can just take it and we can break it down and use it as we need. So we've got terms and definitions are already there, which is nice.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I think what we've been working on is exactly what's missing from this is defining how any one of those, defensive technologies or sensors or controls, how do they notify each other? How do they interact with each other? What are their relationships?
Right. Flowing from box to box, capability platform to platform, and all that stuff. So so that was our discussion last night.
Awesome. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah,
good start.
And so because I'm horribly oversubscribed, we brought in, as we all are, I'm certainly not unique in that manner. So we brought in Ian to help us to keep this moving. So I told him he could spend, how many hours a week did I tell you? 4 maybe? Something like that.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So a half day a week to try to keep pushing this noodle. So I told him to go in and look at the use cases, the graphics, and the verbiage, and he could start pulling stuff out from there to start filling this in some more, what he saw there that we didn't have put in yet. Or at least capture it somewhere so we can start using that as a starting point. And then we can probably, before we start actually doing an in-depth taxonomy, we could probably go in and pull a couple of other sources in and then start in earnest creating something in a modeling platform. So he's going to try to help us keep us on a path. If we want to set up, meetings outside of this forum that are a little bit longer on a different day, we could do that.
Yeah, I think that would probably be worthwhile so we could focus. And Ian, just as a ground rule, if you see anything in the pictures that needs work, don't think the pictures are final. So they're drafts, so they could be modified if they need to be, or if the verbiage isn't quite right. So they're not foundations, they're more like drafts.
Right. Good to know. Thank you.
So I'll have him on that. What other questions do I have to actually drop like literally in a minute here? Sorry. So if you wanted to, he could kind of help facilitate going forward on this, or if you want to just call it an index for today, and we'll set up a separate meeting, because we probably need to kind of get everything back in get everybody's minds caged again, pull up the different resources and stuff, and start nugging through it. It's going to take a while, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. So we'll just have a separate, I suggested, as you said, for us, we'd have a separate cadence for the ontology work. Ian, I'll let you lead when you want to have that. I'll help you set it up if you want. And then we could just focus on that topic, and then share with this group any highlights we may think is appropriate. If you want to do it that way, that's what I would suggest.
And Brian, you're coming in new to this, so so real quickly, the goal is to create from a cybersecurity architecture standpoint and an integrating ontology, if you will. So it's pretty high level, and it's going to be borrowing from lots of existing artifacts. But it would be to help us kind of pull the thread all the way from a threat comes in to endpoint detection or whatever detection to SIEM and SOAR and those operations. So kind of all of these streams that are addressed in some shape or form with things like OpenC2, things like sticks. Those are all data models for passing information back and forth, but giving semantic meaning to them so that we can all have a better comprehension of what's going on in a standard format is what we're getting at with the ontology. So we're trying to make it all open standard. So we're building our standard on open standards, and we're using existing artifacts that have been used in other places in order to maintain the terms of art, not trying to make new stuff up. So any type of source documentation that you can think of, or like your reference architecture is another good source as well. Okay.
And just to level set me first, I forgot what we decided, but are we going to use the web client off of the tool, or are we going to use the server office? I forget what we did.
We're going to, yeah, we were going to use, I think, the web protege off of Stanford. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to use the SAIC one because we're not doing anything that's like government specific or anything either. And then we don't have to worry about for lack of sysadmin support. So we're going to set up accounts on web protege on Stanford. So if you don't have information on that, Ian can help you with that too. And then that relieves him of any burden of system administration either. So you have to do that yourself with web protege, but then he can also, we can share the ontologies back and forth in there, just like we would do on ours. Okie dokie, I gotta go, folks.
Thanks, Forrest.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Forrest. All right, is there any other topics anybody wants to cover? I said it was going to be a shorter meeting today. I haven't got a chance yet to go back and look at the user scenarios and update them again after Andrew. Andrew, I did merge in all your changes into the GitHub, so we should be up to speed there. Thanks for your input.
Yeah, I saw the accept on that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I got some work to do there. And then I do want to take another run at the architecture pictures and diagrams, but I haven't had a chance yet to go back to it. So I don't have anything on that for this meeting. But does anybody else have anything else they want to share or do want to bring up as a topic to talk about the next?
Nothing for me right now. Maybe just a comment to Brian's last message in chat. Yeah, that sounds super interesting, and exactly what we formed OCA to try to accomplish. I think that I'm not sure how much background you have on how we started this thing and what we've been trying to do. It's been slow going. It's definitely, pushing water uphill, but we recognize that as vendors, we're spending so much time building integrations between each other's respective things that it's hard for us to get it done, let alone an end customer or an end user. And I think we're perpetuating a lot of the problem that exists in, combating the threats that are out there. So we really want to achieve an open ecosystem of interoperable security solutions or an ecosystem of ecosystems, if you will. You know, every technology alliance program by any given vendor, you know, we kind of refer to these technology alliances as ecosystems of partners, but they're all one-to-one integrations between respective security solutions, which is a problem that we want to solve. So that interoperability work sounds very well aligned.
So Russ and Mark, good luck next week. Wear your mask.
Yeah, we have to. They just sent us an email today that you got to wear a mask, a black hat. I wonder if I managed to be a pirate mask.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
surprised.
they did.
I'm not going now.
Okay. They said that
No, I'm just
today.
kidding.
I got an email. Yeah, I got
It's not just a black hat. It's all
Everywhere.
of Las Vegas and couple counties in Nevada, including Reno.
Oh,
Interesting.
really? I didn't know it went that far. Okay.
Yeah, that is not a local thing. That is the state decided that they were reinstituting masking.
Oh, okay. Is that for inside only or inside and outside?
That I do not know.
Okay, I'll
I
find
think
out.
it's old rules. The vaccination level is pretty low in Nevada.
Okay, that explains it.
FYI, just be careful.
Yeah,
Okay,
I got
yeah, I
mine,
guess so.
I'm
Okay.
less worried, but still will
Okay.
mask
But
up.
Russ and I live in
Yeah.
the Wild West in Florida, so we're used to it.
That's right. It's crazy down here. Yeah. Okay, everyone, thanks for joining. Then I do appreciate it. And Brian and Ian, welcome to the group. Thanks so much for joining us. We
Yeah.
certainly can use your
Yeah,
energy and
guys,
help.
Thanks, guys.
welcome.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you
really,
so much.
Really appreciate it. Yeah. Okay, and we'll end the meeting right now, and we'll talk again in the next couple of weeks.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Sounds good.
Bye, folks.
Hey, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.